Now, before I start this video, I just want to say this is not a hit piece on Chapter 5, nor is it a love letter to this chapter. As much as I do enjoy it overall, I think it does have one huge issue that I'm going to get into later on. Now, around a month ago, I somewhat removed myself from making Fortnite content full-time, and since then, this community has only gotten more toxic over many things pertaining to Chapter 5 in general. And now coming back to this game after like an 8-week hiatus, the community's in shambles, the game is all over the place, and I'm just wondering if I should buy Ultimate Carver using code LewisSmurf from the item shop. Now, in recent time, to be completely honest, I have not enjoyed playing this game that much, and I'll be the first person to say I'm definitely burnt out of the game. I'm not going to blame it entirely on Chapter 5, but I think a little bit of the blame does go towards it, because since Season 1, every single one of these seasons have felt like they were missing something heavily that really brought it down for me. So I really want to touch on those two topics, one, Chapter 5 in general, and then obviously the community, because I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, I'm not really coming back to making Fortnite content at all. I mean, I still might here and there, but it's not going to be a main thing. I more just want to give my 2 cents on everything that's going on right now.
I'ma zoom like Superboy check. Ain't gonna let what they say get to my head.
Now let me start off by saying I think Chapter 5 is a very solid chapter. I think it does a lot of things right, and in a lot of ways it is a step in the right direction. But on top of that, in a lot of ways it feels like a step in the complete opposite direction they should be going in. One thing I'll start with is I do think this is one of Fortnite's most content-heavy chapters. That's one of the things that makes me so surprised when people call the game lazy. This is not lazy at all. I think the main problem right now is a lot of the content that gets added doesn't really feel like it has any purpose, and it just ends up feeling like a waste in comparison to something that could have made the season better and more on theme. Also, I don't know what is going on with the stomping upstairs right now. That's my bad for the audio. They're just hearing my Fortnite takes right now, and they're just storming their house out of anger. But nevertheless, I think Epic Games' main problem right now is not laziness. I think they are adding a lot of content, and I will praise them for that. I think they have the proper motivation, and they're just putting it in the wrong places. And when I say that, I'm not talking about the metaverse. I don't think that has any effect on BR in any way. I'm talking exclusively about BR and some of the stuff that we get in there that just doesn't really make any sense. You see, Chapter 5 has had some amazing concepts and some really great season launches overall. Seasons 2, 3, and 4 had some really interesting ideas behind them, but they never really ended up feeling fleshed out by the end of the season. The only season that was able to do this was Season 1, because by the end of it, I felt like I got everything that season could offer, and I was ready to move on. But by the end of every other season to come after it, I just feel like they never really ended up reaching their full potential. Season 2 launched as a season that was incredibly fun and had a lot to offer, and seemed like it was going to do amazing things in the future. But then we got left with 3 Greek mythics that ended up getting taken out of the game for the Avatar update, which had somehow more mythics than the Greek mythics. Now, from a gameplay standpoint, I honestly really enjoyed the Avatar mythics, maybe even more than the Greek ones. But for them to take over the entire theme of the season, turning it into an Avatar season, it just didn't make much sense. And right after they left, we got the Star Wars update. And by then, in all honesty, the season just felt like a mess. I think this is a great example of them actually putting work into the game, but just in a very wrong place where it just doesn't add anything to the season in any way. Now, I still want to say a lot of the items outside of the collab items are really fun to use and were super interesting and impactful to the gameplay. When you look at the Greek items, they work very well with the season, or the gun loot pool was very solid here. But we definitely should have gotten a lot more to go with the Greek theme, and I don't want to be asking for too much, but this easily could have been done instead of putting Avatar or Star Wars into the game. Their work could have gone towards making more Greek items to fit the season. But then you have the same issue with Season 3. Now, me saying Season 3 had its issues depends on what viewpoint I'm looking at it from, because by the end of the season, almost every single person, no matter what part of the community you were from, had some type of issue with the season overall. And I'll just say, I really did enjoy the cars. From the start of the season, I thought it was one of the best seasons to ever come to Fortnite. I had so much fun at this season's launch. It was some of the most fun I've had in this game in general. But then the complaints would start to come in from a lot of the pro players, and honestly, you can't even blame them. Many of these things should not have been in ranked from the start, and I think if they just took them out of ranked to begin the season, we wouldn't have any of these issues. By the time people started complaining, Epic would nerf the entire season, nerf the cars, nerf the gloves, nerf everything. And then everything they would add to the season that was supposed to add on to the cars and make them more fun just ended up being a counter that made the season 10 times worse. When looking at the trailer, I don't think a lot of these were meant to be big counters to the cars, but because of all the backlash they got, they just completely went a 180 with the season and just made the car mechanic completely useless. So the season never really got to reach its full potential because the actual main theme of the season got to breathe for like a week, and then after that, it was all over the place. And lastly, coming to Season 4, again, it just feels like we're missing hitting the mark. Before I even get into season 4, I just want to say I have enjoyed all of these seasons. I really do like chapter 5 in general, but I can't ignore these issues. In season 4, we have 3 items for Iron Man, 3 items for War Machine, 2 or 3 for Dr. Doom, and other than that, we only have 3 others that are actually for, different superheroes. And it's just like, not to be that guy that compares everything to old Fortnite, but in Nexus War we had so much more diversity. A ton of characters had their own powers, and it wasn't like one character had 3 powers each, and that was the entire loot pool. Sure, Iron Man and Dr. Doom did have more than one mythic, but there was also like 20 other mythics, one for each superhero. And it's crazy because all they really have to do to fix this is just adding some of the old Marvel mythics to add a lot more diversity, but this is not going to happen anymore because we are now at Fortnite Mares, and the entire season is getting cut short by Chapter 2 OG, which just also makes it not able to reach its full potential. And listen, as much as I do love Chapter 2, my favorite chapter by far, why do we need to go back to this and cut this entire season that has a lot more to offer so short? Now, I will say this Fortnite Mares has been amazing, and I think with a little bit more work, this season could have been one of my favorites. But like I said, it's getting cut short, and we really can't see where the season was going to go. Bringing it back to the original topic, after me bringing up all of this, none of these seasons ever end up like they're being fleshed out. They just end up feeling half-baked most of the time. And when looking at seasons like 2, 3, and 4 especially, you can see how much work was going into them, but a lot of the times just not in the right places. Like, why do we need a Pirates of the Caribbean collab in an apocalyptic car season? Like, that just makes no sense. Same thing for the Greek season. I do think Avatar fits the theme a little bit, but I don't think it fits the season more than actual Greek powers. Or if you really want the Avatar stuff in there, why do we need Star Wars? I understand that it's for May the 4th, but like, we don't always need Star Wars, especially in a Greek season. Now, I understand Epic Games needs its collabs. I do get that, and I'm not going to trash them for it, because I do think the collabs are fun overall. But when they're tanking the entire theme of the season, it just doesn't make any sense. When it comes to Chapter 6, I don't need to go back to Chapter 1 or Chapter 2. Truthfully, I do not care about that. I want the game to move forward. I just want the game to focus on its season's themes and actually executing them properly, so by the end of them, they feel like they reached where they were supposed to reach.
You and your little beaver edging in the back of your RAV4 in the car park at Book of the Bell.
Now, one of the reasons why I don't like critiquing this game much is because of this community. There's one side that's very ungrateful, and I really just don't want to add to that or add to anything that they have to say. Or the side that if you give this game any critique, they'll act like that's taboo and there's no issues with the game. There's this weird civil war in the community right now between pro players and casual players, or OG players versus new players, and it's just getting so old and so corny. Is this really how you want the game to be represented? I mean, for starters, for the ungrateful people, I hear some of the dumbest complaints come from this side of the community, and they will go out of their way to somehow contradict themselves and never have any cohesiveness in what they're saying, just to prove that the game is bad in some way. And it just shows that you're not really here to give any healthy criticism, you're just here to complain about the game. And on top of that, when you are criticizing a game so hard and someone gives you pushback, don't try and play the victim for whatever reason. And then there's obviously the people who can't take any bit of criticism on the game and will lash out even when it is healthy criticism that is from someone that's just trying to help. Realistically, when both sides of the community try to attack someone for, stating their opinion, it's just very stupid and unproductive, and I just don't understand why we have this issue. There are many people out there that are able to give a good balance of criticism and also praise to the game, but a good amount of the loud voices in comment sections and just from other creators are not. And it's just something that really pushes me away from wanting to make content on this game when everyone just wants to be negative about it. But yeah, that's really all I have for this video. I just wanted to rant a little bit, not only about Chapter 5, but just about this community, because it's truly something else. I do still love this game deep down, and I probably will pop up videos here and there, but at the same time, I really just want to focus on other games. I'm not a big online player. Fortnite's the only online game I really do enjoy, so I'd much rather shift my focus to more games in the single player community than anything else. Either way, I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope this community can get better, and if you do decide to stick around, I'll see you in the next one.